The Nissan Nation podcast is a presentation of DRB and KGB Media.
Recorded live, coast to coast, it's the Nissan Nation podcast. From camping, racing, and all points in between. The NNP is your Nissan Nation podcast. Now start your engines and welcome in the hosts, David and Danny.
What is going on, Nissan Nation? Here in Middle Tennessee, my name is David Boyd, and I got over there on the left coast, Mr. Daniel Groders, man. What is up, Danny? Pikachu is right, man. What is up with that?
It is the week of the full retardation of humanity, sir.
Dude, I feel dumbed down, man, but I got a little app on my phone called Pokemon Go.
I have been walking around looking for fake stuff out in the middle of nowhere. I have never felt like less of a person in my life.
And yet you keep doing it, you know?
But I can't stop. It's kind of like booze, I guess, where you do it and then you do stupid stuff, which you're like, okay, I'm gonna keep doing it though, or something.
Right, man. We went out to dinner tonight, and this morning, I'll also rewind a little bit, but this morning I had to go up to a local hardware store off of our square and pick up some supplies, and it was like 10:30, and I look around the square. I'm like, man, I've never seen the square this buzzing before, and everybody is looking at their phone, and I'm talking like I'm looking at probably 100 people in the square just walking around. And I'm like, what in the hell? Oh, it's Pokemon, and so I'm whipping my phone out real quick, going, I got to see what all these people are up to.
Nice, yeah, that's for me. My like I have a decent excuse as a grown man. I have a really good excuse. My 9-year-old daughter is like, she's like a Pokemon like ninja, man. She knows everything about it. She's got the cards. She's all about it. So when she was like, "Oh, my friend at school has the Pokemon Go app," I was like, "All right, whatever. I'll download it." So I downloaded it. She found some Pokemon and she was like, "Oh, this how it works," and whatever. I was like, "All right, cool." So like. And then I get to work, and my buddy's like, "Oh, yeah, my son wanted me to do the Pokemon Go app, so I started it." He's like, "Are you doing it?" I was like, "Oh, yeah, my daughter's doing it." Whatever. She's like, "Let's see if there's some Pokemon on the base." So, and then it just like snowballed from there. Where one of the big problems, Dave, is me and my coworker are like basically the best and worst competitors in the world. Basically, we compete over everything. I mean, right. There isn't anything in our life that we're not competing at. So he was like, "Dude, I'm totally going to wreck you in this Pokemon game." And as soon as those words crossed his lips, it was on, dude. And so now it's like this dirty sickness where like I don't even want to be doing it, but like my phone is out always. I'm like hatching eggs, like sucking down some friggin' Pikachus and some Pokemons and some Schlimmy Schlams or whatever they are, just trying to beat him, while at the same time totally losing my man card. So I think a lot of people have, but it's amazing that within a week, this app came out last weekend or whenever, and within a week you see all these people. I had people in my neighborhood, in my yard, Danny. I had to kind of get old grumpy Dave out there and be like, "That's them my damn Pikachus. You get out of here. You get on now." Get. Oh, speaking of, I just leveled up to level 7, Dan. They're right there, buddy. Look at that. You're almost as cool as me.
Well, one day.
Oh man, we got to get off this fast though. Nobody wants to listen to Pokemon Go. They're getting enough of this BS on Facebook and every other media source.
Right. So Watch 2000.
What do we got going on the Nissan world for Nissan Nation podcast? What do you think?
Well, I hear the new Rogue has a Pokemon app built right into it, so
you can crash and look like an idiot all in the same time.
You're damn right, man. But I kind of wrap that up real quick. It's amazing, and as long as people stay out of my yard and quit falling off cliffs and shit that I hear them doing, we're good, man.
Yeah, right.
You got to thin the herd somehow, and I guess Nintendo figured out a way to do it.
Yeah.
So,
yep, Nintendo. Hats off to those guys.
So Dan, I seen all kinds of Nissan news, and we'll get into that in just a second. But speaking of, I had one of our people on the Facebook page hit us up and said, "Hey, are you guys going to be at NISFest again this year?" And I know I won't be, but Dan, have you thought about going out there?
I kicked it around. I got to look at the dates again, and it'll probably come down to maybe like a couple weeks beforehand, but whether I know or not, just with with family and stuff going on and
Sure,
stuff. But
sure.
I've kind of put it on in my agenda, as a maybe. I'd really like to go out there again and do it.
They killed me with going. I think it's in October this year, man. They're killing me with that.
Yeah, it's a little bit late.
It's like I've got my event. I've got right after my event. There's or right before my event. There's the Overland deal they do in North Carolina, and it's like, man, everybody decided they want to do events in the fall. I guess.
Yeah, and my wife's planning on doing some traveling, I think, in October. So it's all over the board. I mean, there's some serious stuff going on up in Europe right now. So who knows what's going on with my wife and traveling and me and traveling and
just
crazy world, my friend.
Yeah, just don't piss anybody off, and hope that hope that it's all good over there, man. But what do we got tonight, Danu? We got lots of news. We got the new Pathfinder, man. I don't know if you were able to see any kind of pictures of that thing yet. They Nissan actually tried to man card this truck up or whatever this thing is a little bit in
it's a soft SUV that they've squared it up a little bit. They give it a little bit better thigh, new grille lights and stuff like that. I mean, yes, it looks a little bit better. I think everybody still has a problem with it being called the Pathfinder, though. From everything I've read, it's still not quite the Pathfinder that it started out as. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was honestly the first generation of this new look. I was like, it looks like somebody grabbed the headlights and just pulled them apart. But this one actually, to me, if I needed a big SUV like that, I would consider it now. But I'm still more of the Murano guy. I think if you're going in that direction, I like it a lot better. But they did kind of manly it up just a little bit. So I was kind of surprised. It kind of caught me off guard when they released that. Normally, I kind of have my ears to the ground a little bit with Nissan, and that one caught me off guard, man. But what else we got here, Danny? 2016 Nismo Festival is coming up. If you're in the Japan area, you might want to check this out.
They're doing some cool stuff out there. It looks like they're doing a kind of like a history of racing. They're bringing out all these like old school Nissan race cars that they've sponsored over the years, and all these. Well,
this is the 19th year they've done this thing, man, and it's cool. Of course, out of all the kind of foreign brands, to me, Nissan has the coolest heritage cars. GTR, obviously, the Z's and stuff. But it's just where they want to do a big celebration, and they do it. They do it at the Fuji Speedway there, and I think it's going to be December 11th, from what I'm reading. I watched a video, and I think we talked a little bit about this last year, but man, what I wouldn't give, all things Nissan, and to be there with all those killer cars, what I wouldn't give.
There's going to be some heavy hitter vehicles and drivers there.
Do we have any friends of the show that want to help me get a ticket that way?
If anybody in Japan is listening and they want to throw us a couple plane tickets, we'll come out.
Yes.
I'll come out December 11th. I got nothing going, dude. Usually December 11th, my wife is caused the house to become a winter wonderland, and it's basically overboard.
I've heard about this.
So, a little break from that over and check out some, Nissan race vehicles would be very well appreciated.
I would like to go over because I'd probably be a tall man over there, so that's one reason for me to want to go.
It'd be the first time in your life.
Exactly. But no, man, of course, our buddy Kevin Smith was over there, and he does some work with Nissan. He was in Japan and sent us a bunch of pictures over there. And I'd like to go to Japan anyways, but to go to Japan based on something from Nissan, that would be freaking awesome. So, hey, Nissan Corporate, Danny and Dave want to do a live podcast from the Speedway there. So if you can hook us up, we appreciate it.
One day.
And
one day they'll pay for our full paid We're gonna be a big deal one day, Dave.
That's right. One day they're going to let us actually sit in a car. So, we'll hope that comes soon. I was scrolling through the Nissan news website, man. Of course, they show, they talking all their cars and stuff. And they've talked about the new GTR, and they give you the little press clippings and all that. And now they're starting to show, we've talked Armada. They're starting to show that Patrol that is Armada now. And what strikes me funny is they haven't said anything about Frontier yet, Danny. They're just
it's killing me, dude. I mean,
I'll be honest. I had a little birdie talk to me about this truck, man. I don't know that you're gonna like it, Dan.
Here's the deal. Is so when I bought my Frontier, for tax purposes, I leased it with a full plan to buy it. I mean, but for tax purposes, it was better to lease my Frontier. Right. So, my Frontier is totally not. It doesn't look like it's a vehicle that was leased, but I in the back of my mind, I always thought like, well, by the time my lease is over, which is next year, I was like, by the time my lease is over, they should have a new Frontier out, and maybe there's a possibility that I can get out of the lease and into this something new and awesome, and get out of my truck. Not that I want to get out of my truck, because it's freaking beautiful and I love her, but I always kind of just have my eye on the future as far as what's coming to the market, and it'd be really good to have from a business perspective, new products for a new truck. But it seems like it's never coming. It's like they don't know what to do next, or they don't quite have a grip on what they're.
I think they know what to do next. I think the rest of the world knows what they're going to do next. I just think America's, we're probably the biggest market for mid-sized trucks like that, and here we're going to be the last market to get it. But everything I keep hearing corporate-wise is not till 2018 now that you're going to see the next truck. So suffer along at least one more year with this current generation.
It kills me, Dad.
I know, man. Trust me.
It kills me.
But you know what's funny? And I know our fans love the sales numbers. Dude, they're killing it. They're killing it right now with that truck. And I don't know if it's because it still looks like a truck versus kind of what Toyota and Chevy are doing right now with what they call a mid-sized truck. But their numbers are better now than they were initial when they launched. Well,
I think a huge part of that is just cost, or the cost of the truck compared to the Tacoma, and the lack of Ford having a mid, I don't know what you'd call it, a mini truck set, on the market. There's no Ranger right now. So basically you have Chevy and Toyota in the market right now, with Honda producing something that I would never call. I would never even put in the same category.
I don't know what you call that.
I won't even touch on that subject right now, because it's a soft subject. Let's just say if there was a terrorist and they were looking for a soft target, Honda would be the first one to get shot.
Well, wait till you start seeing those trucks get a little age on them, and then they go overseas. You know how they like to ship old trucks overseas, and then there's a 50 cal sitting on the back of a Ridgeline.
Yeah, exactly, right. The truck will be broken because of it's a front-wheel drive lady truck.
Right.
Sorry, guys.
Well,
anyhow.
The cool thing we are seeing, though, 2017, it's probably going to be more of an 18. The next Titan, just kind of crew model trucks I'm starting to see those floating around, so that's kind of cool. Standard cab trucks, man. That's I posted it a couple weeks ago on our Facebook page that they were testing. The V6 is going to come in that truck, and I know our buddy Luke Pankow, the trader that he is, went out and bought a Ford, Dan. A Ford.
I know. Well, he's also pulling a full Dave right now, where his Nissan, he's got a Ford Escape. I don't know. He's got two Fords now and one Nissan, and the Nissan is broken down in his garage. He's pulling a real Dave right now. This thing's been in his garage for like a month.
Well, he better hit the 2-year mark, because mine this month hit the 2-year mark.
He's gonna start battling you for the time in the garage.
But I will
say, in truth, Dave, I mean, who knows with my truck? My truck may end up, fighting you for the garage queen status.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, at least yours has a purpose of racing. Mine's purpose was just to get back on the road. But I'm going to lay this out there for all of our listeners who's heard us talk about this. In 3 weeks, that truck will be out of the garage.
Ooh, that's a bold statement, sir. That's a bold statement. Are we talking on its own power, or it's just going to be pushed out of the garage for movement purposes?
Under power, it's going to come out of the garage. I'm not going to say it's going down the highway legally.
You're not going to. Are you going to say is it under its own power, or just it's going to come out of the garage? Under power could be getting towed out.
No, I will actually put it in drive, and it will come out of the garage. I'm kind of curious. Do you start it up regularly? Yeah, I started it last weekend, man.
Oh, okay. So she's still good as far as powertrain.
Dude, starts right up. When I charge keep the battery charged, it'll start right up. But I've got a nice yellow top in there, gel battery that doesn't like to hold charge anymore. So.
Well, it's an old battery, and she's been asked to do too much.
Actually, this is a new battery, man. Friend of the show, Austin, gave this battery to me after he totaled his truck, and just, I guess, sitting there has just killed the gel battery. I've heard if you flip them upside down, something it does. I don't know.
Wave a magic garage wand.
Yeah, so Optima, if you're listening...
you can sponsor the show.
Yes, by one battery. Well, no, 2 batteries. Dan needs a battery, too. So 2 batteries are going to get you a year of sponsorship, Optima. Mm-hmm. Anyways, let's get tonight's guest, man. We got to know Mr. Holden Scott through Windrock and just showed out of the blue like a normal guy, like a normal person attending the event, and come to find out him and his father, it's a family business called Regal Nissan that they work for, and somehow I guess his grandfather or somebody owned and grandmother now owns. But Holden is an interesting cat, man. He's a fellow chiver. He's a man of many tattoos. He's a Marine, and he's just a kick-ass dude, man. So I don't know, Dan. How else can we introduce Mr. Holden Scott?
You know what? I will say, from my perspective, I give Holden my full respect, and I will stamp him as a good dude. So without further ado, let's roll into this interview, man.
Do it here on the Nissan Nation podcast. So tonight we got a special guest. We got Mr. Holden Scott of Regal Nissan. What is going on, Holden?
Nothing much, man. How y'all doing?
Oh, we are happy as a lamb in heat. I don't know, man. We're doing all right. So we got to know Holden a little bit. I guess through Windrock a little bit, and I know you've done the Gone thing, and I think that's the first time I met you, right, Holden?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so what you've been, 2 years now?
Yeah, past 2 years.
It was crazy, too, when you guys came up, I kind of knew you guys as Black Watch Customs or something. I knew y'all were trying to do off-road stuff, or...
Yeah, it's a little side thing. We started out of the dealership just to provide customers with being able to customize their vehicle like when they purchase it. So while they're in finance, if they have the capabilities and the banks or whoever's financing them has the want to, they can go ahead and add a lift kit, tires and stuff, and then roll it into their payments. That way they're not having to come out of pocket all at one time. We can do it there. And some people just like having a Nissan dealer doing things like that, because then we're familiar with the truck and things like that. Just kind of helps them out and kind of helps us out. So it's something we're not really looking to, take people's business from everywhere, but just for our personal customers who come in buying a new car, maybe want to add a little something to it. So
smooth there with Dan with the Xterra Performance parts right here across the aisle.
Well, you know what? A lot of the stuff I really like the idea, because it keeps the customer from having to just kind of go out and find a bunch of people online that may recommend stuff that isn't good. I mean, because you being in the market now for a long time, I mean, I've talked to you a bunch. You work with me and Niztec and everything, so like where the quality parts are, and you guys actually purchased a lot of the parts that a lot of us have actually put on the vehicle, and you guys have basically done a lot of testing to make sure that you're putting on legit parts and not just kind of slapping on some janky stuff. So I think it's cool that you guys are doing that.
Yeah, definitely. So like the other day, just 3 days ago, had a guy buying a used car Xterra, wanted to put a lift on it and some different wheels. And I work right up in parts, so salesman said, hey, I got a guy who wants to talk to you. Walk down there, go over some lift options, some wheel and tire options, get them all set up, get a quote. He goes into finances it, and then 2 days later, I get all the parts in. We're putting everything on, and then he drives away with his new to him used car, and he's not going to have to come out of pocket just $2,000 and eat all that. It's just going to be part of his monthly payment, so it's kind of nice.
Well, that is cool. Well, let's start from the beginning a little bit, man. So where is Regal Nissan located?
We're down in Roswell, Georgia, so about 30 minutes north of Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. And that's where y'all have always been?
Yep, been in the same spot, same building since 1980. Wow. So we're actually we've had the same building. It's obviously been renovated throughout the years here and there, but we're actually in the process right now of we're going to demo pretty much everything except for the service and parts department and rebuild all the way up from the ground up, state-of-the-art facility. So that's one kind of cool thing that we got going on right now.
Cool.
Well, that's cool. So what's kind of the history with it? I know you were talking pregame here before it, but I guess your grandfather started this business?
Yeah, my grandfather, when he was in the Marine Corps, and when he got out, he started in the car business. Started off as just a car salesman. It's funny because back in those days, he used to always say how they used to go door to door and knock doors to sell cars. So it's kind of crazy if you think about it. Someone knocks on your door, hey, you interested in buying a new car?
Yeah.
But yeah, so he eventually became a sales manager and then a GM and got involved with a group called Key Auto and wanted to get in the car business. It was kind of between Nissan and Audi. He ended up choosing Nissan and started Regal Nissan and ran it for a long time. And then when my dad got out of the Marine Corps, he came over and started off in used cars, became used car manager, and then eventually took over the entire dealership. So now he's the GM, runs the day-to-day business. Mm-hmm. So 2 years ago, my grandfather, he passed away. So my grandmother is technically the owner of it. My dad, he pretty much runs everything, makes all the big-time business decisions. And right now, me and my brother both work for them, and we're kind of doing all kinds of different spots in the business to kind of learn it. Right. I've been in service. I've been in the warranty management as far as submitting all the warranty claims and stuff like that to Nissan. Worked the parts counter. Right now, I'm the assistant parts manager. My brother, he's done used cars, finance, body shop. So kind of both of us are kind of learning all different aspects of the business to hopefully one day take it over and have a third generation, because it's really important to us and our family. Right. Obviously, my grandfather started it, and it's kind of one of the last things we have to remember him by.
It's really hard to see a family dealership anymore, too, because they're all going super corporate.
Yeah, it is. We're the only ones in Metro Atlanta. You got some that still have family names, like your Nallies and stuff like that, but if you really start digging into them, they're owned by corporates and things like that. Berkshire Hathaway owns a couple of dealerships around us. So, like I said, and we all live right there. My grandmother's house is 5 miles from the dealership, so we're locally owned. We're right there. My dad went to the local high school, so we have strong ties in the community, and it's one thing we pride ourselves on is we got repeat customers that have been coming for 20 years. We got technicians that have worked with us for over 15 years, sales guys. You never hear sales guys stand for a long time, but we got salesmen, and our sales manager has been with us for over 15 years. So just having that kind of security, and when you come back, you're probably going to see the same people over and over and over again, which kind of builds a lot of confidence and trust, and something you don't really see on the corporate side.
Right. Well, I'm sold, man. I'll take 2 GTRs, please.
You got them.
Yeah. Right.
So I mean, it's cool that you're working your way up and kind of experiencing a little bit of everything about it. So it's just not given, one day given to you guys, and you're just like, yeah, we own this and we run it, and then, either it can go of one or two ways. It keeps doing amazing, or you run it into the ground. So that's awesome that you're getting your feet wet in every position.
Yeah, it's something I think my dad kind of saw as important, because that's kind of how he did it. And I know when I was originally in my last year in the Marine Corps, I was toying around with the idea of re-enlisting and going back in, or I didn't know if I was going to come home. I didn't know what I would do. And my grandfather, he had cancer at the time, but he sat me down. He really wanted me to come back and work for him. And it just kind of really struck home when he talked about like how important the dealership was to him, and how he always envisioned his family taking it over from him and being something that we could pass down from generation to generation. And it's one thing you see, because me and my brother, we go to, they call it the Next Gen, GADA, which is Georgia Automobile Dealer Association. We'll go into some of these meetings, and it's for people who are the younger management and people whose families own dealerships and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And me and him will go in, and we're the only people who have ever worked in a parts department or worked in body shop or worked on sales. Pretty much everyone else in the room who are in their, late 20s like me, early 30s, they're all GMs and general sales managers, and they've never been anything else other than GMs. And it's just kind of something that you're like, how can you just be a GM right off the bat without knowing, the smaller little intricate details of how a business works from day to day? I think that's one thing that helps out, is one day if I ever do take over, I know exactly how that parts counter guy feels, because I worked those hours and I know how those technicians feel, because I've been right there with them. So I think it's something that's very important, especially in a smaller family-owned dealership, because you can really connect with your employees, and happy employees are going to work harder for you than people who just think you're a corporation and you don't care.
Right. Well, I've got to ask, does Grandma drive Nissan?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. She's been in nothing but Nissans. She actually has a Cabriolet right now. She's one of the few people who still drives one. She loves it. So. Really?
That's awesome, man. Let's get into it. What are you driving right now, man?
I drive a 2014 Pro 4X Xterra.
Mm-hmm. And I've seen it, but I know our listeners probably haven't, man. Give us a little rundown on this thing, because it's pretty wicked what you've done.
Yeah. I kind of started from bare bones. I really didn't know a whole lot about lifting Xterras and what all was out there. So to start off with, the first thing I did was I just did a 2-inch puck lift in the front, and then variable right hack shackle in the rear, just to kind of give it something cool, because I just wanted something to just kind of look nice, and I wasn't planning on doing anything crazy. And then as I started researching and getting on forums and looking here and there, started seeing all this cool stuff we could do. So I ended up starting off with, like I said, the lift, added some BFG mud terrains. From there, started looking at bumpers. So I ended up getting a Tactical Armor Group to build me a rear bumper, and had Rocky Mountain Accessory. I have one of the winch bumpers where it keeps the stock bumper with a worn winch.
Right. Did it surprise you, being that, you've kind of grown up in a dealership a little bit? Did it surprise you, all the aftermarket and stuff, the stuff you actually could do with it?
It did. I did. And it surprised me that it was smaller guys that were building it. That's one thing. I guess I just never really thought about looking into it really. But once I started looking, I realized a lot of the big name companies aren't doing anything, and it's the smaller guys. And I thought that was an awesome thing. Mm-hmm. And then as I got deeper into the forums and asking people and reading it up, you realize these are like local guys in the community. And that's about when I found out about Windrock. The first year we went, me and my dad, he started wanting an Xterra when I started kind of putting mine together. So we ended up almost having matching trucks when we went there for the first time. I remember we added the sliders like the week before, and we didn't even have the rear bumper yet. It was still getting built.
Right.
And we went to Wint, and that's when we started like, oh man, this is cool, and that's cool, and look at that. And that's when it started really getting ideas. And like I said, we're from Georgia, so the first year we went to Wint, we were completely shocked. we're used to off-roading as driving as fast as you can through a mud puddle and stuff like that. There's nothing like that in Georgia. So as far as like skids, stuff like that, we didn't know you needed all that. So when we got back from Went, that's when we really started trying to get serious and got the idea for the custom shop as well. But from there, did skids, a full set of skids from front to back from Danny. Added my Yakima rack and everything like that. From there, I went in and did a cold air intake, the long tube Doug Thorley headers, secondary cat delete pipes, the Doug Thorley exhaust, and then I had a local speed shop tune it for me. And when they tuned it, they told me my injectors were maxed out and that I couldn't get anything more out of it.
Well, that's where it starts getting crazy to me.
That's my favorite part about your truck.
So we have a technician right now that he was building the GTR at the time. So he was taking his injectors off, and I was like, dude, I wonder if they would fit. So we started looked at them, and they would fit. So I put them on, drove it back up there, and had them retune it. So my injectors went from max efficiency to operating at only 45% efficiency. Got a lot more power out of it. Had them tune it for low wind torque.
Was that something that you could tell a big difference in just in the injectors?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can tell a huge difference, especially, before, you could tell it had added power and everything, but when you really got on it, you could tell there wasn't as much as you maybe felt like it was holding back a little bit. Once I could put those injectors on and had them retune it, it was wide open. It was such a noticeable difference that I hadn't told my dad what I'd done yet because I wanted to make sure it would work and everything before we even looked into it. But I let him borrow my truck one day. I forget what was going on. And he came back and he's like, why is your truck so much faster than mine? What is up with it? So
that's awesome.
That's when I drove it long enough to realize it was all good. So I told him what we had done, and we ended up doing with his as well. And they tuned it good enough to where the check engine light doesn't come on or anything. So it will pass emissions with flying colors as long as you don't really get too thorough into the visual inspection aspect of it, which they really don't here in Georgia.
Well, good thing nobody knows who you are listening.
What's that?
Good thing nobody knows who you are listening right now. You know?
Yeah, exactly. From there, we did Gone Moab, and then we decided we wanted to upgrade the suspension. So I did a new coilover packs in the front, add a leaf in the rear to make it a little bit stiffer. And the only thing I really got going on right now is I'm getting a new one of the two bumpers from Hefty Fast from This Tech and those guys. Just ordered that like 2 weeks ago.
Sweet. That's such a rad bumper. I love that bumper.
Yeah. I hate tube bumpers, man, and I've told my wife, it's like, man, I'd really kind of like to get that bumper on your truck.
Yeah, I saw it, and I was like, dude, that's so cool. And I've read where people, it doesn't have as much protection. And I was like, I'll take the trade-off of the protection just because I like the way it looks. It looks cool, and I think it's going to be a real eye-catcher, especially, when I ride around, people always ask me about it. I've had people in Frontiers and Xterra stop me and ask me where I get my truck worked on, so it's perfect time to hand them business cards. So anything I can do that I like and is going to attract some more business, I'm all down for.
It's cool, too, that, I'm sure your dad grew up in the business where it was cars. You really didn't modify them. I'm just kind of assuming here, so go with me. And it's kind of cool that you've come in with maybe, a new innovative way for the dealership, to make money. You definitely see it in a different light.
It was never something that we ever really did. You didn't modify cars. You didn't do extra stuff to anything. You kind of sold the car, and if the customer wanted stuff, that's something that they could look up on their own. And a lot of people went to aftermarket shops. So it's an idea me and him had over a dinner one night talking about, being able to modify cars, because there was a Chevy dealership down the road where they were selling already jacked up trucks with wheels and tires. And it's kind of like, why don't we do stuff like that and maybe preload some trucks and maybe it'll get people's attention. Maybe they don't buy that one that we did, but the fact that it's sitting up there, maybe they drive in and they buy their own and they want to do their own thing with it. And that's kind of what we did. We started off with an Xterra, did wheels, ARB bumper, light bar, and just sat it up front. And it didn't sell for a while, but we got people come in and they bought Xterras and wanted, hey, I want that bumper, or I want that lift, or I want those wheels. So I actually sold 4 ARB bumpers from that truck sitting there. So
Wow.
we didn't necessarily sell the truck in the time we wanted, but we sold 4 ARB bumpers because of that truck sitting there. So it's
Right.
something that really worked out nice.
Well, I know I used to sell vintage guitars and stuff, and we would always have the stuff that was just out of reach by anybody. But like you're saying, it would always bring in people that would end up buying something they could afford. So definitely,
Yeah, exactly.
that definitely works out. So with these GTR injectors, man, how this is just me asking as an idiot that don't know much. How come I'm not seeing more people doing this, man? What is it, cost of those things or?
It's a little bit of the cost of them, but really, I think a lot of people just don't know that they're injectors. When you do like the long tube headers and everything, they don't know because I don't know. I don't see very many people getting their cars actually tuned on a dyno and stuff to where they're going to know that, hey, your injectors are maxed out. There's more we could get out of there, but we can't. Because if anyone wants to do stuff like that, because originally I was going to use Titan injectors, but they're the same injectors as an Xterra. Mm-hmm. When I started looking up parts, and anyone who wants to use GTR injectors, there's people tearing apart GTRs and replacing injectors all the time, so you can buy them online pretty cheap.
Nice.
But I think it's just one of those things people don't know.
Well,
hey,
go ahead,
you got your X tuned at you got it dyno tuned, right? And what tune company did the tune? I mean, I know there's a shop that did the tune, but as far as was it an UpRev? I can't remember. I know you told me, but
yeah, it's UpRev. It's Top Speed Motorsports. They're one of the top GTR shops in the world. Like our tech that is building he owns the record for the top stock manifold turbo. He just ran.
Gotcha.
So they actually did the tune for me. We've done a couple favors for them with GTRs that they've had in and out of the shop and stuff like that. So we kind of work with them selling parts and stuff. And so I called them about it. It's not something they usually do because you're not going to have a big truck up there. They usually just do Subarus and GTRs. That's all they do. But they did it for me. UpRev. Yeah, it's something. I mean, any tune shop you got to buy the UpRev system. I think it's like $300 for them to send the programming. And then just your tuner can go in there and play with the adjustments, set it to where it needs to be and everything like that.
I think the big key is if you really, to get to a level to where you're going to need to change your injectors. I think, like you did, you did a full cat back, or you did a full headers, cat back, cat deletes, etc. But maximizing that exhaust and then getting to places that can actually dyno tune on a dyno to where they can run a tune in it and then change stuff. And UpRev's probably the number one Nissan tuning software, because when you buy that tune, right, the place can change, depending on your elevation or whatever. They put that tune in, and then that tune allows you to change however things are, whatever your injector curve is, and etc. So that's that's kind of the only way to go, really. UpRev's basically one of the best ways you can, if you're looking to really get some power out of the motor.
Yeah, it's one of the only ones that I saw available. And like I said, you buy pretty much almost like a licensing for it. And then you can go, I can go tomorrow and have them, hey, between second and third, and have them readjust stuff. And I'm only going to pay for their dyno time. I don't have to repay for anything from UpRev or anything like that. Once I have it, it's good. So yeah, you can do different things. I mean, you could get super crazy with it. You could have a off-road tune with super low end torque if you're going to trailer your truck somewhere or something, just like guys do when they have track days. You got some guys that are daily GTR drivers that have it set for a daily driver, but then if they go to the track, they can have them turn on that track setting.
Well, I know a lot of times with the UpRev,
do what they need.
You do it through your cruise control too. They can do 3 settings that way.
I think it's up to 5 if I remember right.
Yeah, I know there's. Yeah, it's something like that. I don't know all the holes where you got to do the buttons, but yeah, that is something that those guys do.
Xterra Performance has your Nissan covered for any off-road adventures. With aftermarket brands like ARB, CVT Tents, Warren, Heps Designs, Insane Fab, White Knuckle Sliders, and so many more. When you're ready to take your truck or SUV to the next level, search www.xterraperformance.com for the best deals around. Remember, that's xterraperformance.com.
You like popsicles? I got a Nissan full of popsicles. Get your fat ass in the truck. Now back to the Nissan Nation podcast.
You guys are an official, I guess you're a licensed dealer. How does that work with the GTR program?
Yeah, we're an official licensed dealer. Kind of one of the main contributing factors to that is you got to have service technicians that can service GTRs. So we actually have 3 guys who are GTR technicians, 2 of which actually drive GTRs. So it's one thing that kind of helps us. 2 of them drive them, not daily, but pretty often. And they actually go to track days. One of them also works with Top Speed, the tuning company that I was talking about. He goes and helps as support, technical support and everything for them. So when they are out at these events, they meet these guys. So we got customers who didn't necessarily buy a GTR from us, but they do come and get their GTR service through us. So that really helps out, just having these guys who know the GTR and are enthusiasts because they actually are out driving them themselves.
Well, does like your side kind of deal y'all have, does that work with your GTR program too, if they want to do aftermarket stuff?
I mean, it could. We haven't really had any interest in that. We have 2 GTRs on the lot right now. It's not something you see a whole lot of customers coming through on.
Right. I guess if you got $100,000 or so to drop on a car, probably you're probably not worried about rims or making it look cool right now, I guess.
No, not really. I mean, we do answer a lot of questions with guys, but it's such a competitive market, the GTR market is. Mm-hmm. And then the fact that they still have to go get it tuned and things like that. A lot of the times what we kind of do is we recommend them to Top Speed, and then they bring all their warranty work and any kind of parts and stuff like that through us. So it kind of benefits us to have them go to Top Speed, and then we get Top Speed's business back.
Sure.
So it's kind of one of those things where it's just easier for the customer to have a one-stop rather than us doing some of the work, then having to take it over there and have them do the tuning and everything and then bringing it back. Just because you never know what could go wrong driving a $100,000 car. I mean, even though it's only 6-7 miles, the last thing you need is driving that $100,000 car to another shop to get something worked on and some idiot hit it or something like that. So that's good.
We've seen those Hellcat pictures when those things first came out, and that dude got like 10 miles from the dealership and then put it into a wall. So
we actually had one of the same kind of things happen at our dealership. Guy wrecked it 5 miles from the dealership.
GTR? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
Yep, and it came right back to our dealership for body shop, since we're one of the only dealerships in the Atlanta area with an on-site body shop. So,
well, because that's such a special car, man. I know the government requires so much aftermarket panels and stuff, but is that an ordeal to work on one of those cars in that way? It
is. I mean, it's going to be an ordeal just because it's a $100,000 car and that customer is going to be very, very picky. So it's something you got to make sure you're on point about. B, it also depends on what paint job they have, because Nissan has some of those high-end paint job options that they put on there as well. We actually have been working in our body shop on a GTR. One of the technicians who drives it, he actually slapped the wall about 2 months ago. So he's been with body shop guys working on it a little bit. So it's something we've got a little bit of work on. But I mean, other than those 2, we haven't really seen any that have been wrecked.
Right.
So,
well, did your body shop say they appreciate the chance to get to fix,
to
practice on somebody's?
Yeah, I'm sure they love that.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'm sure they'd rather be working on another Leaf or something.
Hey, so Holden, I'm kind of curious. I mean, and we probably touch on this a little bit. The 2017, there's like the new GTR Nismo, GTR. Well, GTR Nismo and GTR.
Yeah.
When's that going to start hitting dealerships? I mean, are they out now at dealerships? I mean, it's a pretty fresh vehicle, especially something that's kind of exotic and whatnot. What's the look on that? Do you have any inside noise on that?
I'm not 100% sure. It's one of those things that kind of depends on your local dealer if they want to stock one and everything like that. It's not something that you're necessarily required to stock. A lot of dealerships don't even stock GTRs. If you want a GTR, you come in, you order it, and they'll get you a GTR. So it's one of those things. It's kind of hard to say. I personally don't know if we're going to be getting one or not, just because we're trying to sell right now. But it's definitely something we're looking at. And the Nismo package may be a kind of a game changer, because the GTRs we've had the most success selling have been ones with a special, unique packaging that you can only get, at this dealership. Yeah. We had one of the ones with the Regal red extra paint job that Nissan did with the white leather interior, and a guy drove all the way down from Chattanooga to buy it because he wanted that particular one. So it's something I'm sure our sales managers and stuff are looking into, but it's also one of those things you don't want to be sitting on $100,000 car for a couple months.
No, I get for sure. Yeah, the Nismo version is, I'm sure, it's probably even more on top of that. But yeah, it's just still something that we kind of came across on the Nissan press kit, and I was kind of curious about.
Is there a huge markup? And I mean, I know it's in dealerships in general. You always hear, well, there's not a huge markup in cars, and I don't want to know y'all's inside numbers or anything, but with the GTR especially, is there a pretty good markup, or is it Nissan's banking? They're making all the money on that.
There's really not much markup at all on the GTRs. It's a car. I mean, it's almost not even worth the hassle for us to sell, really. And Nissan is definitely making most of the money on that.
When you said, I guess it was real competitive market too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a kind of weird market just because of how not a lot of people have a lot of GTRs. So a lot of guys, if they get on a GTR, they want that specific one. So they're willing to drive to go to another dealership to get it. So it's one of those things. You're almost just waiting for that perfect customer to come in and buy that GTR. It's not something where you're going to maybe talk someone into something they don't want. If you're going to be dropping that kind of money, you're going to get the one you exactly want. Whereas with an Ultima, hey, maybe this isn't the exact color I want, but it has everything I want and it's a good price. I'll go ahead and get it.
What is a wait time on one of these things? If me and Danny were to come in tomorrow and want to do the Nissan Nation podcast GTR, and we slap down the $100K or whatever it is for one, what's a wait time from here to Japan to get one?
That I'm really not sure on.
Just guess,
I mean, I'd probably say, especially with the boats and everything, you're probably looking 4 months or so. A lot of times.
Here, listen, Holden. I don't think you heard what Dave was saying. This is Danny and Dave from the Nissan Nation podcast. So obviously, me being such a big deal and Dave being the second biggest deal ever, I'm sure that there would, they'd probably put it on the back of a Siggy boat or something along those lines, right? They'd probably get it over that Pacific Ocean a little quicker, right?
I mean, you would think Nissan would want to get it to you as quick as possible so they can make that money off of it.
I'm kind of surprised they haven't offered one up just freebie, So I know you're in the dealership, you're GTR official. So I was thinking maybe, if you could just relay, obviously they knew who we are, but if you could just maybe relay like, hey, Danny and Dave, who obviously they're going to know our names when you say
they're
Danny
not
and Dave.
feeling like their back's getting scratched.
Yeah, they're going to just say, hey, Danny and Dave, they haven't driven GTRs recently. So if we could get like a full track day, just them and a couple Nismo version GTRs, just to remind them that we wanted to do that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's on their list. It's just one of those things that kind of got overlooked. As soon as I mention it, they'll, oh, man, yeah.
Oh, yeah, those guys with that huge audience.
I can't believe it.
Well, that's cool. I mean, what a beast of a car. And, of course, this last little refresh of it, man, that's going to probably last them at least 2 years till you actually see the next one. Is that kind of what y'all were thinking?
Yeah. I mean, and then it's one of those things that kind of depends. It's something you think, hey, this car is not going to be here that long, and then it ends up being redone, and then things you think are going to be redone take a while. So I think it's something you'll end up seeing the Nismo package of it getting upgraded before you see an actual full blown redo of it. I could see them maybe coming out with some new options as far as the Nismo packaging goes. It's kind of what you saw with the last one. They came out with the black edition,
Right.
and they came out with the special interiors, stuff like that. So I think it's one thing they kind of do to kind of keep it fresh without having to redesign the whole car is, hey, yeah, you have this one, but you don't have this one with this package, and that's something we're offering this year. So I think that's what they'll do first, kind of exhaust that before they start redesigning and coming out with a fresh model and everything like that.
Well, speaking of horsepower, man, and y'all dealing in lots of horsepower, do y'all sell many Leafs?
We do. We're actually we are actually, funny you mention it. It wasn't something I was going to bring up because it's not something I'm sure a lot of people, oh, yeah, let's get into this topic. But we're actually one of the top Leaf dealers in the nation. My dad and one of our top salesmen actually went to Tokyo, Japan, met with a bunch of the big wigs over there, and they wanted to know about Leaf sales and how us in the Atlanta market were one of the top Leaf dealers in the nation, because they would have thought it would have come out of California or New York or something like that.
I don't know that if you listened to that episode, but Joey Parent claims that they're one of the top Leaf sales.
I think here's what I think, Dave, because we're good friends with Holden. We're good friends with Joey Parent, and they're both apparently some top level Leaf salesmen. So I think Holden and Joey should do a nipple tweak contest to see who is a better Leaf seller.
Joey's in Colorado, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep,
he probably is leading right now. This was last year. Georgia had the $7,000 state tax credit and the $5,000 federal, or 5,000 state, 7,000.
Holy cow!
However it goes. So
Damn.
people were literally taking a 2-year lease and driving the car, pretty much only paying for insurance, and then still getting money back from it. So that's what was happening. Colorado still has a state refund, because I know Nissan actually came and talked to my dad about what he did, because he decided when the Leaf was coming out and he saw the tax refunds that he was going to be one of the top Leaf dealers in the nation. And so that's how they attacked it, was look at all this money you get back. You'll drive this car for 2 years for free, turn it back in, and you've essentially saved money and gotten money back from the government by driving a car for free. And so when the credit expired, our Leaf sales has dropped. But I know they came and actually talked to him a couple months ago about Colorado and how they still had the state tax credit, and we're getting ideas from him about exactly what he did and how they could help dealers out there. So he probably is one of the top Leaf dealers right now. Most of the states that have the state tax credit are.
Just a rough idea. How many of those things, when y'all were busting balls on those things, how many of those things a month do you think y'all were selling?
A lot of months we were doing over 100 a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can believe it. I understand. I would have bought one if I was basically paying insurance on it. It
was crazy. I mean, and now you should see our lot where all our lease turn-ins are. It's pretty much Leaf turn-in.
400 Leafs.
Yeah.
Is that a tree?
Every week we have a truck picking up just leaf after leaf after leaf after leaf.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys
you have a
send them
landscape
out to other dealerships and stuff and whatnot, just because you probably got overloaded, right?
Yep.
And y'all hire a landscape company to come pick up all those leaves?
Those stinking blowers, man, always make my truck dusty. I hate those guys, dude. They're always making my truck dusty. I wash my truck, and then next day, I swear, my neighbor's new blower for his friggin' landscape started blowing. Ooh. Sorry. Let's get back to Nissan, man.
So
At my cheeks.
Holden, what are some of the, and like I mentioned before, you're not directly in sales or anything, but since it's a family business, I'm sure you have an idea of what are some of kind of the rookie mistakes that people go when they're buying a car?
I think you got to remember the salespeople. They know how to read people, and
sure,
a lot of sales guys. I mean, that's something, you're either a salesman or you're not a salesman. No one's going to necessarily teach you how to be a salesman. So they know how to read people, and I think one thing people do is they kind of overthink things. They say, I mean, they give these absolutes of just go ahead and give me your lowest offer first because I don't bargain and stuff like that. Sometimes,
sure.
I think sometimes, and then I think some people just think everything the salesman is saying is going to be a lie, and so they're always. And I understand where it comes from, because there are people that have been burned and stuff like that. But that's one thing we try to avoid. My dad has always said that you should treat every customer like you would your father-in-law. Because I think and that's what he says, because you're not going to do something like that to your father-in-law. You might screw your dad over and, embarrass him, but usually the father-in-law, your wife's dad that you're trying to impress, even your girlfriend's dad, you usually treat him sometimes better than you treat your own dad.
You got to treat him like your father-in-law right before you get married.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yep.
Exactly.
So that's what he always talks to our sales guys about. And I mean, we've had instances just like any other dealership where you have maybe a salesman has lied to a customer or something, and that's something we don't like to see, and we fire those kind of guys immediately. But I just think it's one of those things where sometimes people just put a whole generic label on all car salesmen are liars, and they're always skeptical and second guessing stuff. And
do they? I mean, is there kind of a thing of, especially probably young buyers are always like, well, they probably don't realize that like new cars, there's not a huge markup, and they're trying to, I want the lowest price, and then they don't realize the lowest price depends on your financing.
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing. You can bargain all you want while you're in the sales department, but once you get into finance, numbers can change. And I think people are, well, we agreed to this, but it's not necessarily the salesman's fault that your bank's not going to give you that kind of loan. And and I think sometimes people want to bite off more than they can chew too. You'll get people who want fully loaded this, that, and the other, and then are upset that they can't afford that. And what do you mean this car doesn't have electric seats? I mean, and it's like one of those things sometimes like, is the electric seats really that important where you want to pay another X amount of dollars? So I think sometimes people have a hard time maybe settling what's in their price range.
Yeah.
And
tell your credit score that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Dan, I've kind of hogged the time with Holden. What's your questions for the Regal guy?
You know what? I think you've covered it pretty well. How about working in parts? I mean, can you kind of give us a little bit of lowdown on the difference between genuine Nissan parts and Joe Blow parts that you get from some kind of aftermarket? I mean, in my opinion, and I've seen this a lot, and this is just an example. If you were to buy stock axle shafts for like my truck, like the M205 diff that's Titan swapped, those axle shafts from Nissan are way stronger than something that you would buy from Rock Auto. The aftermarket ones, while they're under warranty, they just don't seem as strong. I mean, in my experience, the guys that break front half shafts, they're always aftermarket shafts, and that's my experience. I don't know if I haven't tested metals and checked hardnesses, but can you give us a little bit of your thoughts on some of the OEM parts versus China brands or whatever else is going on out there?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a great story that I always tell people whenever they ask stuff like this. Last year at Moab, on Fins and Things, one of the first little kind of bigger hills that you go up, it's got a little bit of bump to it, so obviously you don't want to just floor it and get that bounce going because you don't want to break that CV axle.
For sure.
We're waiting in line, looking. There's a guy operating a drone. So me and my dad, we're near the end of the line, so we're out of the truck talking to this guy. And he's talking about CV axles and saying, you want to be careful with this because you don't want to break it. He's like, that's why I use my Napa CV axles because they got a lifetime warranty. I break one, I just go right back and get another one. No big deal. Not like Nissan where I got to pay for it. So he's in front of us. He goes on the hill, gives it too much gas, snaps the CV axle. So he then has to quit the trail, drive all the way back to AutoZone to get his exchange CV axle while the rest of us just went right up the hill, no problem. And I mean, obviously it's going to depend on the driver, but that was one of the funniest things to me was him sitting there talking about how great the Napa ones work because he can trade them in and out under warranty instead of the Napa ones are great because they don't break, whereas all the guys that had Nissan ones didn't have a problem. So I thought it was kind of funny that right as he's saying that, he's the one who goes up the hill and breaks one.
That's a good story, dude.
Yeah. I'm not going to say every Nissan OEM part is better than aftermarket. I mean, your air filters, stuff like that aren't going to matter. There's smaller things that don't really matter. But I do know, as I was a service advisor for a while, and that's from time to time when you get maybe a bigger item like a alternator. That's a kind of pricey item. We do try to give people an aftermarket option if they'd like, just to kind of let them know. But I always would tell my customers, here's your 130,000 mile maximum. And the alternator just went out. You can go OEM, which might be a little bit more expensive, but it lasted you 130,000 miles. Are you going to drive another 130,000 miles with this car, or we can go with the AutoZone one? And the thing is I saw 2 to 3 customers who would buy the AutoZone one, come back 6 to 7 months later, and that thing's under warranty for the part, not the labor. So then they're repaying the labor to put that back in if you don't know how to do that yourself. So it's something I'd always let my customers know. So that's one thing I always kind of tell people is, your compressors, alternators, CV axles, kind of those bigger important parts. Sometimes it's worth it just to go ahead and spend that little extra money to go ahead and get that OEM part. I know the warranty might not be as good, your 1 year, 12,000 miles, but sometimes you got to look, how long did this OEM part last me? Am I going to drive my vehicle another 100,000 miles till that fails again? So I think that's one thing you kind of got. And that's one thing. And that's another thing we tried to, since I've been in the parts department, I know we've gone down in our prices and we've lowered prices here and there, trying to be competitive, but also not just to be competitive, but also to help our customers out, because we'd rather them use the OEM parts, obviously, not just because we can make the money, but also because, in our personal opinion, that's what your car was designed to run, and it's what's going to run better for your car. Yeah,
for sure. And this is something that I like to do on the Nissan Nation podcast is back when I was a BMW mechanic. No. I mean, I will say that I think there's definitely a difference. Some stuff, like you said, it doesn't make a difference. It's little stuff. But the parts that manufacturers use, like the OEM stuff, they work with the people that make that, whether it's a Bosch alternator, et cetera, et cetera. They work with those people to make sure that item is going to last X amount of miles, because they don't want to be paying for the replacement on that item. They don't want their vehicles to be like, oh yeah, this thing breaks down all the time because of this product, because that ruins resale values of products. So I always kind of lean towards OEM parts. It's not the end all be all. There's no black and white, but there's definitely something to be said for certain OEM products. And so I'd advise our listeners to definitely kind of sit down, if they're going to take it to a dealership, sit down with their service advisor and get to know their mechanic, etc. And make sure you know what you're buying and what you should expect from your parts.
Yeah, and that's my one question I always ask people is, this lasted this many miles. How many more miles do you plan on driving your car? I mean, if it's a part that lasted 100,000 miles, why wouldn't you go ahead and get another one? It's obviously a well-manufactured part. I mean, do you really expect to drive your car another 100,000? So that's one thing I always tell people. Brakes, stuff like that, that's something you can go aftermarket. I mean, people don't really have issues with that. Nissan actually has their own. They have their OEM brakes, then they have their Value Advantage brakes, which is pretty much a Nissan stamped aftermarket part that they offer. Mm-hmm. So, right. Nissan's even getting in, almost in a way, getting into the aftermarket parts. They have Nissan, they call them Value Advantage. It's not quite OEM, but it's still got your Nissan stamp on it. It's something Nissan runs: air filters, end cap, and spark plugs, brakes. So you got all that Nissan's even doing themselves. So things like that don't matter. But some of your more important items, yeah, like you said, sit down. How long did this part last you? Are you fine with it lasting you another X amount of miles, or is the money you're going to save by going aftermarket, is it going to be worth it if it does go out?
Well, damn it. I guess, Dan, I need to go back after OEM on my Xterra and get that front clip back on it, because Holden just sold me on
you need to go back IFS, Dave.
I'm sure Holden would sell me a whole front clip.
No more solid front axle, bro.
All you people that swapped your trucks, you better go OEMs. What Holden's saying. So Holden, do y'all do mail order stuff? Is that in y'all's realm of things?
Yeah, it's something I can definitely do. It's something I've I've helped a few people here and there that have messaged me on Facebook with dealer only parts, stuff like that. It's something I'd be more than happy to help anybody with. Anyone who contacts me directly, like I said, I'm the assistant parts manager. I order everything. I mail stuff out all the time. We do online orders as well. You can go to regalautoparts.com and you can order anything you want. You can punch in whatever car you got. You can look at the kind of pictures that we look at, click exactly what you want, order it there. I'd tell people listening, hey, before you do that, look me up, give me a call, shoot me an email.
What's y'all? Do y'all have an 800 number on that, or?
I don't have an 800 number. Well, there's an 800 number on the website, but it's not going to come to me.
Mm-hmm. If they want to get a hold of you guys, is there a way they can do that?
Yeah, they could call you could look up the dealership's phone number and call the front desk and ask to speak to me, or my number is 678-507-2256, straight to my desk, and give me a call, because I'd be more than happy to sell it a lot cheaper than what maybe list is, just for listeners and people in the community. That's what I've done with a few people. Kevin, I helped him out with some stuff. A couple other guys on Facebook that have messaged me. So it's something I haven't been super broadcasting out there, but went this year. I was going to hopefully maybe put something in the bags to kind of let people know, like, hey, I can get you parts. If you're looking for that OEM part, give me a call, because the way I see it, if I sell you a part, Danny, that's something you're never going to walk into Regal Nissan and buy a part from me. So if I sell it to you at my cost plus 10%, maybe I only make $2 on it, but that's $2 I wasn't going to make any other way, because you weren't going to walk through my door.
Well, knowing Danny, that's $2 that was hard to get from Danny in the first.
So
I'll tell you what, we could put Regal Nissan on the side of the race truck, and we could work a little something out. Also, if you want to get a hold of Holden Scott, I actually have his personal cell phone number if you want to text him dirty pictures.
His Snapchat is well, man, we really appreciated you being on here tonight, man. I could go on all night about asking dealer questions. Maybe we can get you back on in a few months. But so one more time, give us the contacts. What is it? RegalNissan.com, or how can?
It's RegalAuto.com is the main website. Parts is going to be RegalAutoParts.com. You can punch in whatever vehicle type you have. Pull up all our pictures. You can shoot me an email. It's hscott@regalauto.com, and then I'll let Danny give out my personal cell phone number, but my desk line is 678-507-2256, and I'm usually pretty good about getting right back to people if I'm not at my desk and they have to leave a message.
Right. Well, I encourage our listeners to. I mean, we get nothing from this. You're not a sponsor of the show or anything. You're just a good friend of ours. I encourage people, if you got anything you want, man, be sure to give Holden and them just a chance at your business. That's all we ask here, is just think about them if you're going to buy something. And man, we really appreciate you being on here tonight. And like I said, hope to chat again real soon.
Oh yeah, definitely. I appreciate y'all having me on here. It was a great time. Love talking Nissan.
You got to step up at Wint this year and hit the microphone, man.
Yeah, I will. I got too drunk, and I think I drunk wandered off. And
what was that, Sailor Jerry's, or what was that?
Sailor Jerry's. I went to go get a refill and kind of wandered into the campfires, and then started talking to people. And by the time I got back, it was over.
Hey, can you real quick, the two events you've been to, man, can you just quickly give us the high points of each event you've been to?
Yeah. You got Wint, obviously, and you got Gone Moab. Both of them awesome events. Wint's got a special place in my heart since when I really first started into the off-roading. But I tell people, you got to go to both, because they're two completely different things. I mean, you're going to do stuff at Gone Moab that you can't do at Wint. You're going to do stuff at Wint that you can't do at Gone Moab. Gone Moab, I mean, the scenery and just the things there are to do when you're not off-roading are great and awesome. Loved it. But Wint, I'm not going to say, hey, Wint is so much better, but I do, in a way, like Wint a lot more, just because of the fact that, hey, you get done wheeling and then you're sitting there under the canopy and everything, the metal buildings, I can't even think of what it's called. But you're sitting there and, you're watching people pull up and people hang out. People sit around and you drink together and you hang out together. And that's something that Gone Moab doesn't really have, because once you're done with the trails, everyone kind of goes their own separate ways. I know I do. I go into town. I go to Arches. stuff like that. I know people hang out at the apartments and all that, but Went just kind of has this special camaraderie. I have a lot more friends in the community that I've met at Went than necessarily Gone Moab. So that's one thing I just like about Went is everyone just, it's more community-like in a way. The off-roading is great. The trail leaders are awesome. So, I mean, that's the one thing that sticks out the most to me. You're going to get an awesome off-road experience. Trail guides are awesome. The leadership of all the stuff is going to be great. The prizes, all that's good. You can compare the two, but they're really kind of equal. But it's just that camaraderie almost at Went that I like, that everyone just kind of hangs out and drinks together and meet new people and force people to drink shots of Sailor Jerry, and then they're mad at you the next day. And
Yeah, I remember that specifically.
I remember getting Kelly and her saying, "No, I don't want to." And I said, "I'm a sponsor, and you told me sponsors can do whatever they want. So I'm telling you, you got to take a shot of this."
Yeah, that's I've said that too. Like, they're both just such different events, and I have such a blast going to both. I remember the first time I met you was at Went, but it was the one Went that I went to that I literally met you in the morning. I saw this dude roll up, and you had a pretty sweet Xterra. I was like, dang, that thing's pretty sweet. I mean, and you have a couple tattoos on you. And I don't even remember. You were dressed a little different than the standard like Tennessee crew. You know, like you had some swagger to you. And I rolled up and I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And then you were like, "Hey, what's up? I'm Holden." I'm like, "Cool truck. Good to meet you. I'm Danny from Xterra Performance. I'm leaving."
Yeah, you like walked up and you're like, "Mind if I get a picture of Xterra?" And I was like, "Man, this is awesome. This dude just walked up and thinks my truck's so cool. He's taking a picture." And then you're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "So?" And you're like, "Yeah, I'm from Xterra Performance." I was like, "Oh, cool. You out here for the week?" And you're like, "No, I'm leaving. I got to go to a wedding." And I'm just like, "Okay."
Classic
High
Grover.
five. For real. No, but yeah, dude. Like last Went, we had a blast together. We hung out a ton, and it's such a fun event from a just kind of from a social perspective. There's so much time to kind of just, people are camping out, people are kind of staying in little cabins right there in the same area, so you're all stuck in the same little area. There's not a ton other stuff to do other than what you're doing there. So it's probably one of the greatest
You could learn
Nissan
banjo.
events in the world.
You could go learn
Yeah, it
banjo.
is. I mean, there's nothing else really to do in the town or anything, so you might as well sit there and keep drinking beer.
You better
and
hope you like
throwing
your
magnetic
company.
koozies all over stuff.
Yeah, just from going to Moab, man. I mean, nothing compares to Moab, and as much as I love my own event and stuff, like when you start pulling into Moab, you're just like, geez, man, this is just the awesome place. I just want to live here. And then you realize you don't want to live there because they're all poor. And
There's too much to do in Moab. Literally, there's too much to do. This last Moab, I didn't even get to party. I was so exhausted from doing so much stuff. I'd get home at like 1 every night, and 1 in the morning, and like fall asleep practically just because I overloaded too much.
Yeah, you have so much planned. I'm going to do this, do that, do this, do the other, and it ends up being so much. And I mean, obviously, me with the drive. When I got back, I was like ready to go to work to take a break almost.
Yeah, for real, right?
With Went, yeah, I mean, you're just sitting around and having a good time, and
It's a good old time, man.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things. Like I said, I feel like the people at Went I have a better relationship with just because we spent so much time together. I mean, there's people at Gone Moab that I still talk to and stuff, but the people at Went, I feel like I have more friends from there.
I barely even saw you at Gone Moab.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't get
at Windrock, me and you were like hanging out every night for like hours. At Gone Moab, I saw you on like one trail, and then we like high-fived at like vendor night, and it's just it's too much, dude.
Yeah.
Like Went is chill in a way that's it's chill. You're just kind of chilling out, and it's kind of got like that. I kind of equate it to the East Coast West Coast thing. Like, I mean, it goes back to the rap and everything, dude. Like, West Coast is like go go go, and the East Coast style is just like. What up, man? You want some moonshine?
Well, Danny,
I got some moonshine.
we are slightly chubbier on the side of the mouth. You know?
I will say that anytime I order shirts for that event, I get a couple more XLs than I do the largest.
Yeah,
Well,
it's one of those things. I mean, it's a blast, and just like you said, you're just meeting people and people hanging out till all hours of the night, and you ain't got nothing else to do but sit there and drink PBR.
Right.
So it's hard to compare the events, but that's what the biggest difference in my mind.
Well,
Yep.
I mean, Nissan for the aftermarket off-road community and all that, it's such a small thing anyways, man. It's awesome the way all the events, and of course we got East Coast Xterra Challenge going on right now, man. I'll give a shout out to those guys. It's nice that all these events, they're not corporate events by any means. I know with Went we try to get Nissan involved, and I know Moab does as well. But it's people running these events that the passion and the heart that are doing it. So I think that's the biggest thing. And having guys like you, and of course you guys didn't know us from a hill of beans, man, and you came and did the event, and then you wanted to come join us as sponsors and stuff, man. So we greatly appreciate that. And I hate to do it, man, but damn, you're our longest interview ever, Holden's.
Oh man, I get a record. Do I get a sticker?
Oh, you'll get a sticker.
It's amazing. A jarhead's had so much to say. Usually, it's just like,
Yes, that.
Well, Dan, I've seen where your office is, man. Tic-tac-toe is about to get extreme for you, isn't it? Well, Holden, we greatly appreciate your time, man, and definitely we will have you guys on again.
Definitely, I appreciate it and love it. I love everything y'all do, and thanks both of you for being in the community and just putting everything together like y'all do. Like you said, when we went to Went the first time, as soon as we left the next year, we're like, man, we need to sponsor that. Even though we're maybe won't get business from it, it's just such a cool event, and just fell in love with it. And everything y'all do, both of y'all are awesome. So anytime y'all want to have me on, I'm more than happy to talk shop.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate you being on.
All right, man. I'll see y'all later.
All right, thanks.
It's now time for Tech Tips with Daniel Groders, brought to you by Niz Tech Lifts, your number one source for off-road parts and accessories.
all right, guys. This is Danny with the Nissan Nation podcast, and I have the Niz Tech tip for you this week. And this is coming from us working in the shops, messing with stuff, figuring it out. So several people lately have been installing new stereos in their Nissans, or done some work under the dash, working on their trucks or whatever, unplugging stuff. So what'll happen is after they do that, their airbag light will start flashing in the dash. So how do you reset the system to make the light stop flashing? And this comes from Chris Meisner over at Niz Tech. He had this problem, and he wanted to kind of get this to you. He dealt with this for a long time and finally figured it out. So here's what you're going to do, and you may have to replay this a couple times. And you can actually go on, I believe it's titantalk.com, or whatever that forum is, or what is it? Club Armada. No, I'm sorry, Club Armada has this posted as well. But we did this, and it totally took care of the problem. So what you're going to do is you're going to turn the key from off to on, watch the airbag light closely. It will stay on for a few seconds, and then soon as it blinks off, turn the key off instantly. Count to 5, and then you're going to repeat those steps for about three times. You're going to repeat those steps. Then you're going to turn the key on and watch the light. It will start blinking in a different, slower manner. This is the diagnostic mode. You can watch this for a little time. No hurry. Now turn the key off again, count to 5, and then you'll do that beginning all over again. You'll turn it back on. Basically, you're kind of resetting the system. You're getting the system to reset itself. You can go and get the airbag light reset, but if you want to just do it from home, that's how it goes. Like I said, you could probably Google this and find it, but sometimes working with the bus systems on the vehicles can get those lights to start kicking on. If you don't want to pay someone to clear those lights, etc., it's kind of a quick at-home way to do it. So that's a little tech tip from Chris over at Nistech Lifts. Hopefully that helps a little bit if you're dealing with this problem. If you want to know exactly step-by-step how to do it, they can talk you through it. I know my explanation wasn't perfect. So yeah, give them a call over at Nistech Lifts. Go to nistechlifts.com and you can figure it all out from there with the phone numbers, etc. Thanks, guys.
Dirty bit. Dirty bit. Dirty bit.
Oh, Danny. What a show, man.
Dirty bit.
We knew Holden was going to be a character and fun to talk to, man. I didn't think the interview was going to go that long, man. And I think I could have let that one go even longer. He's an interesting fellow, man, and it's amazing. Like, he's a young guy and he knows his business well, and it was nice to talk to a guy that something a little different for us.
For sure, it's cool to know a guy like that. It's always that guy. I'm so glad that I met him because he's definitely going to be a wealth of knowledge throughout our relationship, being friends and stuff. I'm sure we'll be hitting him up throughout the years, with questions and just kind of working together and just kind of keeping the community going. He's all about that, and I'm all about that. So it's cool to be part of
he's
what he's got
definitely
going on, etc.
A friend of the community, man, and that's why I really wanted to get their numbers out there on the interview because they're not a sponsor of the show by any means. It's just Holden was a cat that we wanted a dealer perspective, people that are on the inside telling the little guys like me and you how to do it, and he's definitely a friend of, they're out to make money, but he's definitely a friend to the common guy, man, So if you need parts or anything, definitely look those guys up, man. I know there's some bigger companies on the web out there, but, they ship parts. They've shipped stuff to me with no problem. So definitely, I just like talking with people that, that are interesting, and he is. I can't wait to see him at Win again, man, because I want to get him on the microphone and just, get some of that. What was he drinking? What was the rum?
Sailor Jerry, and he had like Tennessee honey or something like that. Man, that guy, I just started telling him, no, go away. that guy was pushing it on me.
Well, we got some, we had dealer talk this time, man, but we got some Overland talk next time, man. Yeah. Our buddies at Savachi and Schulte, and I know there's a few others.
I think basically every single guy in that group has a horribly difficult last name to pronounce. I think that's part of the crew. You have to have a horrible last name. It's like Savachi,
something Italian.
Kamaki, Vukachikchikek, Smeki. Like, I don't even know, man. I'm not even going to try with those guys, but. They did just run an amazing little trail out in the Grand Canyon. And
super jealous.
They got a lot of cool stuff going.
They do, man. It's a new group called Rogue Overland, and there's all kinds of little overland guys out there and stuff, and these guys they're taking Nissan and wanting to do some big travel, and they're in Xteras, and I think there's a Frontier mixed in there, and maybe a Titan or something. But they're exploring America, one road at a time, and we're going to have those guys coming up next time. Maybe we'll have another one of solid Danny tips out there, or the Nistech tips, Dan. Maybe you can solid us up.
Yeah. We got that covered, bro.
We haven't talked oil changes in over a year, Danny. I'm a little disappointed.
Oh, maybe next podcast I'll come out with a solid...
Round 2
solid oil change. Maybe we'll do a diff
right.
Oil change.
And I know we keep promising
down and dirty.
We keep promising Bare Truth, but definitely next show we're going to have us a Bare Truth, man. I know Kara's been doing a little traveling, and she's pretty angry, so I can't wait to hear what she comes up with.
Nice, very nice.
But so next time, Rogue Overland, whatever Nissan news we have, whatever's in Dave and Danny's life, we'll talk about, man. So if you guys got any questions, comments, man, go to our Facebook page, ask away, man. Nothing is out of line, man. I think probably religion and politics are the only things we don't want to talk about. So
yeah, we'll leave that to the trolls on Facebook.
That's right. That's right. And whether Sanders, whatever fan you are of Political Nation, you leave it there. You be pissed off on Facebook.
Yep.
But so Danny, we had the big Amazon the Prime week this past week, man.
Yeah, I actually, you know what? I even clicked on our own banner and I bought some Arctic coolers.
Nice.
And I bought some electric toothbrushes.
Well,
So I donated to our own cause with my purchases. So if I can donate to myself, you can donate by just making one extra click. That's all we ask, really.
that's it. And honestly, where this money is going to go is to get Danny out to Windrock hopefully this year. That honestly, and we'll be as honest with this money doesn't cost you anything and doesn't cost you a dime. But this is kind of how we pay for trips to kind of do some live shows and stuff. And this time it's Danny's turn to get flown out VIP style or coach or whatever they call that nowadays. And,
Yeah, I think it's VIP/coach. So I get a VIP sticker on my shirt, but I fly coach. That's basically what that means.
when Danny gets on that plane, man, they give him the wings and everything, don't they, Danny?
Oh, you know it.
First time flying, little guy?
The brown wings.
Well, anyways, at least it's not some little grandma looking at you going, "Hey, Mile High Club, let's go."
Yeah, it rarely happens. Usually it's like, "Hey, you want to do my high club, bro?" I'm like, no, thank you, sir.
Anyways, oh my
I'm
God.
very polite.
So if you guys would go through our website of www.nissannation.com, click the Amazon banner, do your normal shopping. I don't care. Sex lubes, whatever you buy out there. I don't care, man. But just click the banner, have fun, shop away, spend thousands of dollars. We get a tiny, tiny pinch of that, pennies back. But it's going to buy the big guy over there a drink on the plane, man. So
It adds up, and it's just an extra step. And I get it. Sometimes it's like, I don't want to click on that. Please, can you please click on it? Just asking.
Right.
Doesn't like it. Like we said, it's basically like 10 seconds out of your life to give us $1 that doesn't actually come out of your pocket. It comes out of the Amazon pocket.
Yep. They just want to know where you shopped from, and that's it. And for the Google people out there, if you Google search us right now, you are not going to find us for some odd reason. Google's changed the way they do their search engines, and I've got to revamp the website and cost me thousands of dollars. So thanks, Google, on that one. But if you'll just, like I said, go to www.nissannationpodcast.com, click us, help us out. We greatly appreciate it. And we also appreciate Mr. Chris Meisner over there at Nis Tech Lifts. He's a big supporter of the show. He does, helps pay for Danny to do those tech tips. Danny gets an extra comb through the hair when he gets his hair cut every time you.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Also, Dave, real quick, let me throw a quick shout out to the Nismo stuff website. He just posted another really great article about the
Frontier,
the Red Line Racing. They're going through the Silk Road. Or the Silkway Rally right now. Jürgen Schroeder's killing it in their rally right now. So go to nismoblogstuff.com.
Yeah, check out Daniel's blog, man.
Yeah, it's a great blog, and he's got a great article with some cool stuff on there. Great, amazing pictures of that race truck and stuff. So,
well, Danny, we got one step closer to talking to GTR guy. Holden didn't say he owned one, so.
No, maybe, yeah, we're one step closer. He has GTR injectors, so we're like, that's definitely a one step closer.
We're looking for a guy with GTR cams next, so we'll build our GTR this way. But any of you GTR guys out there, we're on the hunt. We want to talk to you. Hell, you know what I want? I want some guy. I want to talk Leaf, man. I want to talk some guy that's got his Leaf, and he's, maybe he's listening to the podcast in the Leaf. And he can tell us about it.
Highest ranking podcast of all time will be the Leaf podcast.
Well, it'll be we are the highest ranking Nissan podcast of all time. So
guaranteed, we are. We're kind of a big deal in that.
We
little
are.
Tiny bowl of fish.
And believe it or not, there actually are a couple Nissan related podcasts out there. So that says something. So everybody here at the Nissan Nation podcast, man, everybody that helps us put on this show, Miss Kelly Boyd, JR with the music, Danny with the wave over there, looking all fine and sexy. we want to say this is the Nissan Nation. And what are we, Danny?
Out.